Hello everyone and welcome back to another book review. Today I am going to be reviewing volume 13 in the Haikyu series, and this one is by Haruichi Furudate, or rather the whole series is by Haruichi Furudate. So if you're not familiar with volumes 1 through 12, I recommend you go back and watch my reviews on those books because I'm going to assume that you have some familiarity with this story going into the review of volume 13. So at the end of volume 12, our team that we're following, Karasuno, has won the preliminary round and they now have earned a spot to go to the qualifiers. So they won their preliminary tournament and now they're able to go to the qualifiers because they're trying to go all the way to nationals. Hinata is our fire, our inspiration on our team, and he wants to go to nationals and he's taking his whole team with him. But the whole team has kind of stepped up from the last tournament they've played in. They played a lot of practice games against some really tough teams and have improved themselves. They're also improving themselves outside of the game or outside of the tournament. So they've had a lot of time to work and practice, and they're just a different team that's coming to this tournament than the one that played before. And they're kind of coming back to their former glory that they had or that they were known for back in the day. So it's very exciting to watch, but I will say that the stress level has definitely ticked up. So with these tournaments, they are single elimination, at least that's my understanding, which is different from the volleyball tournaments I played in when I was in elementary school. We did double elimination tournaments, which means your first loss didn't eliminate you from the tournament. But these are single elimination tournaments for whatever reason, probably just to keep my heart rate and blood pressure elevated. That's my guess, because it is very stressful. Now, with the prelims, it was a little less stressful. You had some confidence in the team and you saw what they did in the practice tournaments. I feel like also as a reader, you have a little bit of confidence that the author isn't going to kick this team out on the prelims, but you never know. So I feel like I felt relatively safe through the prelims and they did make it through. But now we're at the qualifiers, and the first team that they're playing is, let me try to say this correctly, Jozenji. And you can definitely tell now that we're in the qualifiers that the level of teams or the quality of the teams that they're playing has taken a step up. This isn't the prelims. These are the people who also have a right to be at the qualifiers. So they're definitely good. And that, I feel like, has ticked the stress up. Again, I feel like as a reader, you have some confidence that they're going to make it a little ways in the tournament, but you're starting to get a little nervous because now you recognize that we don't have every team in the prefecture here. We have the ones who won the right to be here, and every round that Karasuno High School wins, the competition gets that much tougher, and one single loss is going to eliminate this team from the tournament, which is high stress. And as a reader, I am on the edge of my seat throughout these games because they tend to be stress-inducing. Jozenji, let me make sure I'm saying the name right again. Jozenji is definitely unorthodox in the way they play, and Karasuno finds themselves unable to respond for a little bit, but they do kind of work out how to respond, and I feel like we're going to start seeing a lot of different tactics and teams that the team that we're following is going to have to play against. But the stress level is definitely creeping up, and as we end this volume, we're starting to go into the game with Wakutani Minama. I may have said that incorrectly. It's definitely Wakunan something, and oh, here we go. Wakutani Minami. So Wakutani Minami is just another step in the competition and another tick in the stress, and I do have to say this book ends in the middle of a game, so if you want the games to continue, I would recommend getting volume 14 so you can continue the game right away. This is something that when I was reading the first tournament section, arc, whatever you want to call it, I noticed that the actual volumes will end in the middle of a game sometimes in very key or stressful points. So because the entire series is out now, it's definitely worthwhile to go and get all the books you're going to need. That wouldn't be the case if you were reading these as they came out, but they're all out, at least that's my understanding. So you can just go and get the next books in the series to make sure that you have enough to sustain your way through. I have through volume 16 checked out right now, which I'm hoping is going to not end on a very stressful note because I'm going to have to wait to get volume 17, and I can already tell that's going to be a little bit of a stressful moment if I have to wait. There was one little teaser in this series that the author mentioned or commented on, and there was like a little, I don't want to say interaction, but there was a little moment between the people we're following and the school. And this was Niyama Girls High School, and they were either the representative of where they're from or they were like the national winner. They were anyways very good girls team, and they're mentioned. So obviously we're playing in the boys tournament, so we're following mostly the boys teams from high school. So we don't really see a lot of the girls teams. The Karasuno Girls High School team was mentioned, but didn't have a lot of screen time. But now this team, it just felt a little, I don't say odd, but I'm not really sure why the author put it in the book other than to be a little bit of a teaser. So I wonder if we're going to see them again. I think it would be really interesting. I would read a sports manga following a girls volleyball team, so why not? I'm really interested in seeing how these areas connect, or if we're going to see that school again. That was another thought I had on this series, is the author does a very good job of making the players on the other side of the net be very real and personable, have their own quirks, weaknesses, strengths, and make them feel not just like a warm body that the author's throwing out there to play a volleyball game with. They really feel like solid, fleshed out characters, and I really appreciate that, and it keeps things interesting, especially as we go through this tournament. I think we're going to see players that we've seen and played against before, which is going to be very interesting because they weren't just blobs on a screen, but they were real people that we connected with. We also, throughout this series, sometimes get into the heads or see the game from the perspective of the other team, the opposing team, as opposed to the high school that we're following through this series, which makes you want to root for that team a little bit more, or makes you realize that in this game there is going to be a winner or a loser. So even if Karasuno High School wins, there is a side that is losing, and it keeps the high emotions. While you're having the high emotion off the win, you also feel the sadness of the team that lost, and I feel like it's just really well done and really interesting. And even though the stress level ticks up, also my interest ticks up, and I feel like the quality's there, the writing's there. I really enjoy it, and I'm loving this series, so I would give this one a 5-star. I love it. I'm loving this series. Immediately gonna read volume 14 because I'm so excited, and I hope you're enjoying the series too. Let me know if you've read this series, if you have any thoughts on the series or on this volume in particular. I'm really excited to keep reading this series and excited to see where it goes. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.